Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with more uh, threats. Okay, so this is titled "Tough Choices for Israel in U.S.'s Middle East Vision." Okay, at a press briefing in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, after a day of meeting with Israeli leaders, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was surprisingly upbeat. Answering a question about the future of Gaza, he said he had just delivered a new and very powerful message to the Arabs, one that will end the cycle of violence in the Middle East once and for all. Blinken has spent the past 4 days traveling around the Middle East with three objectives: persuading Israel to wind down its offensive, reducing tensions in the region, and easing the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. As he concluded a trip we also took in Turkey, Jordan, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Egypt. U.S.-led airstrikes were launched at Houthis in Yemen. While Blinken flew back across the Atlantic, the attacks would have left him wondering how his second objective can be met. But the news conference in Tel Aviv days before hinting at the possibility of progress on what lies ahead. Here was the offer. The Arab leaders will support regional integration, including normalized relations with Israel. No, I'm not. In exchange for an end to the Gaza war and Israel's acceptance of a clear path to Palestinian political rights and a unified Palestinian state comprising the West Bank and Gaza. The plan, Blinken says, will have the additional benefit of isolating Iran and reducing what he said was the malign efforts to destabilize the region through proxy actors like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthi movements. The U.S. Secretary has acknowledged that adopting the American proposal will require some hard choices on the part of the Israelis, but he insisted that the promise of a durable regional peace was worth the effort. The other path, Blinken said, is to continue to see the terrorism, the nihilism, the destruction by Hamas, by the Houthis, by Hezbollah, no, all backed by Iran or not. A senior U.S. State Department official speaking on background with even more blood. Israel ultimately doesn't have a choice. At some point, the official told me Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli will have to face the reality that if they don't make concessions to their Arab neighbors, they will be left dealing with the chaos and devastation they created in Gaza on their own. The Arabs simply will not fund yet another rebuild, and no one, including the Americans, has any interest in participating in the kind of more technical peacekeeping force that Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant suggested last week. Other Arab countries will not contribute to the reconstruction of Gaza unless it is part of a bigger political settlement, says King Gaddis, a Lebanon-based Middle East expert at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Not Netanyahu doesn't seem to have grasped that yet. This in essence had become the American strategy for the Gaza war endgame. The carrot for the Israeli is normalized and regional stability. The stick, the stick is that there are no other carrots out there, just a lot of bad options. The stick certainly isn't a threat or terminating or even placing conditions on. U.S. aid to the Israelis, which American officials from President Joe Biden on down have routinely ruled out. There are other components to the American plan, including pressuring the Palestine Authority to enact political and judicial reforms, addressing corruption, increasing transparency, and loosening media restrictions that will position it to govern a unified Palestinian state. On Wednesday, Blinken's armored motorcade rode from Tel Aviv to Ramallah in the West Bank for a closed-door meeting with Palestine Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Talks, the U.S. Secretary said, that resulted in a commitment to enact meaningful change. Ooh, I hope not. Hope I'm not getting sick. Doc Waxman, a professor at Israel Studies at UCLA, is not certain such a commitment is solid. However, since the Palestine Authority is now widely perceived by Palestinians to be illegitimate, it makes it very hard for officials, including Abrams himself, to support democracy because doing so jeopardizes their own word and even the authorities' continued existence, he said. If Blinken's trip with heavier discussion of a seemingly distant future regional peace, it was short on concrete details about how to get to the point. Israel, at least so far, has shown few signs of writing down its Gaza campaign, an essential first step before any grand American broker deal can begin to take shape. I'm finna click off. The Biden administration is somehow still hoping it can put this on the table as an end goal to work towards losing the normalized talk as a level or monument, including to convince the Israelis to get on board the process, said Gaddis. They're all fine in theory, but in practice it's going to be very hard. While the Americans have said Israel is on the verge of lowering the tempo of its campaign in the south of Gaza around the town of Khan Yunis, Israel's efforts have been intensifying of late. Blinken did announce on Tuesday night that the American and Israel had reached an agreement to follow an unled assessment mission to enter the northern part of the Gaza Strip to determine when Palestinian civilians can return to their homes.